You are watching NetSoft IT Academy. 905-812-2923. info@netsoftacademy.com. www.netsoftacademy.com.
So let's start with scenario one. Scenario one is very simple. In scenario one, our goal is just to connect our on-premises ADDS environment to Microsoft 365, synchronize our users, and sign in with those users. That is our complete goal here. Now, apart from that, we'll also be working with a few PowerShell modules, namely the Azure AD module or the Azure Development module, and the other module that we'll be working is called MSOL service or Microsoft Online Service module. Now we'll be working with those. So first, let us create our environment. Our environment is very simple. We have one domain controller and one workstation. And remember, it is a very simple setup. One domain controller, one workstation, and a few users. So let's get started on that first. So first things first, I will open my VMware Workstation Pro, create a new virtual machine. Now I'll select a Microsoft Windows and select a Windows Server 2022. I'm using Windows Server 2022 and Windows 11 for this entire setup. I would recommend that you use the same setup because that way you can also you'll not encounter any problems the same way that I don't encounter. You use an older version or a newer version, things might get a little bit tricky and it will require you to do a little bit of troubleshooting. Okay, next. Nita ADDS 01. Next. Now it's all next until the end. I'm going to give this 8 GB of RAM. I don't have a particular use case of this, but I'm just giving it 8 GB of RAM so that the installation and all the processes work faster. You don't have to give 8 GB. If you're limited to 4, just give 4. It's okay. Doesn't matter. SCSI. Store virtual disk as a single file. And 60 GB is okay. We don't have to change that. Next, and finish. Okay, so edit virtual machine settings. I'm going to use the ISO image file. Now I have the ISO image file on my computer. So it is part of my lab setup. I have all of my resources organized here. So I have both Windows Server 2022, 2025, all the other servers, like you can see, but I'm going to be using Windows Server 2022 for this. Okay. Power on this virtual machine. Now, I think the setup process everybody is familiar with. So I'm just going to speed run through the setup process so that you can just look at the important parts here. And I'll pause the recording here for a second. And once I'm back, you will see that it will all be done. So as you can see, my Windows server is installing. So while it is installing, I'm going to multitask and I'm going to create one more virtual machine. And this time it will be my workstation virtual machine running Windows 11 instead of Windows Server 2022. So next. Here I change it to Windows 11 x64. Next. Nita WKST 01. Now I'll have to put in a password here. So I'm going to use the password 1350, password 1350. Next. This again, I'm going to allocate 8 GB of RAM. If you don't have 8 GB of RAM, don't allocate it. It's okay. Okay. SCSI again for this one. And finish. Okay, so I should have this here. Now, like as you can already see, this is being installed here, so I can just move forward and install my Windows Server here, or at least get it set up to a point where I can show you what to do. So I'm going to use my ISO file for Windows 11 from the same place that I got my ISO file for Windows Server 2022. Right here, I have the Windows 11 Education 24H2. An older version also works, but it's better if you have the newer version. And if you need more resources, you can always download it from the resources section of this course. So remember, I'm just waiting for this. As you can see, it's restarting here. My server is restarting, my ADDS is restarting. And you can see that I only have 2 computers or 2 VMs here. Now, I will just let the process work as normal. And we will just do everything at one at a time now. And you can see here Windows 11 is being set up. It's okay. So I'll let the Windows 11 work for a minute. I'll just put it to a side now for the workstation. We'll first configure the ADDS here. Now you might be thinking, why are we doing this? The only reason why I'm doing this right here, or I'm started the infrastructure building this early, even for the workstation, is because it takes time. Windows 11 tries to download a lot of things from the internet. So it takes time. So I would like for it to have the time and also not be pushed to a point where if I'm done with one task, I would have the other one ready right away. That is the goal here. So first things first, let's see what exactly is happening here. Now, remember that I would also be setting up my workstation in the background. So in case you see me suddenly go rushing forward to my to the finished workstation, just know that I might have set it up in the background while we were doing something else. Okay, so this is my workstation. This is my ADDS here. I'm going to log in. I use the password 1350 for this. And I'm going to now do a few things. I'm going to first install VMware Tools. And while VMware Tools is being installed, I'll also rename this computer. The reason why I'm going to rename this computer is quite frankly because I would like it to be called by very easily rather than my domain controller being starting from a name like win dash something. It is one of those just making your life easy kind of situations. So as you can see, this is my name of the computer here. So let me first start by installing VMware Tools. Let's get the VMware Tools done. Next, and install. Okay. So once this will install, you'll see it in the enlarged format where you can see it in full screen and you can have all of your drag and drop and all the other capabilities already there. Yep, like this. So now it needs a restart. I'm going to restart later. I'm going to manually restart it by first changing the name of the computer here. Change Nita ADDS 01. Okay. Yep. I have a small typo here. It is 2 A's. Nita ADDS 01. Now, all of these things are important because once we move forward to installing Exchange, these kinds of restarts, pending restarts, or doing something like that will impact your entire workflow. They will make or break your installation. So keep that in mind. That is the reason why we are from the very first scenario, we are going to follow the best practices, renaming our servers and our workstations based on the naming standard that we need. Secondly, making sure that everything has a very unique IP address. And thirdly, if something needs to connect to the internet and needs a static IP address, what are we going to do to make the situation a little bit manageable for ourselves? Now, the best part about this scenario right here is that this only requires this and the next scenario 1 and 2 require live internet access. Otherwise, the other scenarios don't really require internet access at all. So, now that we have set the tone for this scenario here, let's start by going to local server. Let's start by promoting the server to a domain controller now. Ethernet 0, properties, internet protocol. I'm going to use the IP address 172.16.10.10, 172.16.10.1, and I'm going to use the DNS server 172.16.10.10. Now remember, by doing this, I'm making this completely cut off from the internet. And for this scenario, I need the internet. So I'll move forward with this. But before we connect to the internet, I'll just show you another trick to just make sure that your connection works well and you still have the these IP addresses, static IP addresses as planned. Okay, done. Dashboard, add roles and features. 3 nexts, Active Directory domain services, add features, 3 nexts, and install. Now this will take a few seconds to install, so we'll wait for it. And you can see that it has completed. Now I'll go to promote this server to a domain controller, add a new forest because this is my first domain controller here. And my domain name is nita.com. Next. I'm going to use the same DSRM password. So password 1350, the same one that I'm going to use for logging in. Next. Now it is next all the way till the end. We are not really changing anything because all of these options are pretty much standard. The net BIOS will be generated automatically. The net BIOS will be NITA, NITA, as you can see here. And we want to complete our domain controller installation fully before we start working or start connecting or do anything else with the workstation at the moment. So now this will show the install option. And once the progress check and everything is done, we will then be prompted to restart the computer. It will restart automatically. We don't have to do anything. So we'll wait for those steps to start right here. You can see the securing machine, securing software, collecting, configuring the DNS server service on this computer. You can see all of these things happening here. Yep, and you can see, yeah, I'm about to be signed out. So I'll just let the process run. And once it is done, we will move on to the next steps. So after a little bit of waiting, my domain controller is set up, and I know that it's a domain controller because of the naming convention right here, nita/administrator. So I'm going to sign in, and this is where I start doing a few things that make it a little bit easier for everybody to work with. So first things first, I'll first check on my local server here. I'll make sure that the domain says nita.com and my Ethernet, I'll just double check if it is properly configured. There's no loopback, there's no nothing here. You can see that it has gone into loopback. While this is not a problem, it is a good idea to replace this because sometimes, and I do mean sometimes, you do face issues when you're trying to domain join. And I would just like to avoid those. So I'm going to disable and enable it, and it will say nita.com at the bottom here, and that means that my connector is completely set up now. Okay. Second thing, remember I mentioned that I would like this domain controller to be connected to the internet. I'm going to go right click on the VM, click on the settings, click on add here, and I'll be adding a new network adapter, a NAT network adapter with DHCP running on it. So what I'm effectively doing is I have now two different adapters, one that connects to the internet, the other that is static and that connects to all the machines in the domain. So you can see right here that I am now connected to the internet and I can access the internet. So the best way to check it, click on Edge. Now wait for Edge to load up. Remember, this process only happens once, and yes, it is a little bit annoying. I agree, but you need Edge for this. Or you can also install your Chrome or whatever you need to. I generally don't install Chrome or anything else because Edge works for me. It's the same engine anyway, so it doesn't really matter much. But I'll go to google.com, and this is my test to see if my internet is working. So my internet is working. Okay, very good. So now I'm going to close all of these here. Click on Tools from the Server Manager. Click on Tools. Go to Users and Computers. Expand my domain here, and first thing I will check is domain controllers. And got ADDS01 computer GC, perfect. So everything is working properly as it's supposed to. Now, I'll add a new organizational unit or a new OU, and I'm going to name this OU, let's say Toronto. Now, under this, I'm going to add users. So you can click at the top here, or you can right click the OU and just go new and go user. So my user's name is Jet Lee. And the username is jlee@nita.com. Next. Password 1350. Password 1350. Password never expires. Next and finish. And I'm going to add one more user called Megan Fox. M Fox. Next. Password 1350. Password 1350. Same deal, password never expires. Next and finish. So now I have two users and everything. Now we move on to the next part where we want to connect our workstation. We want to connect our workstation to the domain and make sure that these users can actually log in. So now, remember I mentioned that I would be setting up things in the background here. So you can see that this is I've already moved past the installation steps and I'm a little bit further ahead. So I'm just going to move ahead with these steps here. Okay, this is good. I don't have internet. Now, one thing that I've done to kind of ease my pain or increase the speed of installation is that I have disconnected the network adapter. So that way, the Windows machine will not start downloading the latest and greatest updates from Windows right away. It will do it after installation. So the name here is going to be Nita admin. This is asking for the name of the administrator, not the name of the device. Next, password 1350. Next, password 1350. Next, security questions. Now I'm going to use the generic name Nita because I don't want to go into personal details here. So every question that I'm going to select is going to be Nita. The answer is going to be Nita. Nita. Next. Now this is your choice. I'm going to just turn off all of this because I don't really need it. You don't have to do it. You could just click on accept and then move on. It's not a problem. This is a virtual machine anyway. So it would not be that big of a problem for anyone. And you can see that my virtual machine is being installed. Now, some of the things that we're going to do again here is we are going to install the VMware tools. We are going to rename this machine. And then we are going to restart and domain join and restart again. So it is going to be a little bit of a multiple restart situation, but once we are done with it, it is going to work properly. So I'll wait for this machine to start up and get all of these things done. It does take a few minutes. So let's wait for it. And here you see my virtual machine is finally completed installation. So first I'm going to install VMware tools. So while it is happening, I will go to start and click on settings. And you can see right here that the desktop name is desktop 97VC5D3, which is a little bit of a difficult name. And we want to make sure that all of our resources are on the same naming standard so that it's very easy to call them or ping them or do anything else. So I'll say rename. Nita WKST01. Next, restart later. Okay, so this is one. I'm going to go to my file explorer. Now sometimes, and this will happen once or twice, that you are not able to get the VMware tools to run automatically. So you just have to go in and you will have to run the setup file yourself manually. Not a problem. It's not a major problem. You can do it. It's just that it's a little bit annoying. And I know we want things to work as smoothly as possible, but sometimes it's just not possible. Okay. Now, while this is preparing to install, let me quickly see if we can make the process a little bit faster. So I'll wait for it to complete installation here. Now, one thing I did in the background was I went to the settings and I powered on my NAT and made sure that it is set to connect at power on. So once this is configured, one thing will happen that you might have updates or you might not have updates. But I also did one more thing in the background wherein I paused my updates for one whole week and I extended it for 4 weeks. Now, you can see here that my VMware tools did not install properly. And this is a very common scenario. It happens to a lot of us. So nothing to be worried about. We can just power it one more time. We can just try one more time. It doesn't hurt anyone. It doesn't make any problems. It's a very common process. Don't worry about it. So again, install VMware tools. Now, you can see that this machine is connected to the internet. It has network access, which is a good thing. Now, see, I'm going to run the setup again. Yes. Now, will this happen every single time that you're working with Windows 11? No. Does it happen sometimes? The answer is going to be yes. So, take it with a pinch of salt that, okay, this can happen. As you can see right here, I already have them installed. So, I'll just click on repair and repair. And anything that have went wrong during the installation or something changed or some configuration changes or anything, it will just repair all of those and get them back to the known good configuration level. And that is a great thing for us. Okay, so while this is happening here, I'll go to search and I'll look for ncpa.cpl. This is a control panel item. You can open it. And this is where we are going to change our IP address now. Properties, Internet Protocol version 4, use the following IP address. Now I'm going to use the IP address 172.16.10.20. 172.16.10.1 is my gateway and 172.16.10.10 is my preferred DNS server. I click on OK. Now, I'm not going to restart right away. I'll not restart right away. I'll restart in a bit once I'm also done domain joining. So I want to get the restart done in one go here. Okay, this is done. Now I'll go to start. I'll go to settings. Under system, I'll scroll to the very bottom and find about. Click on about. And right here, I would have the option of domain or workgroup. I click on this and it brings me to system properties. Now there's another way of getting to the same exact place. You go to your file explorer, you go to this PC and right click and click on properties. It will bring you to the same location. Doesn't really make that big of a difference for anyone. Okay, change domain. My domain name is nita.com. Remember, FQDN is not case sensitive. So I can use it. So now another thing I can do is administrator@nita.com and my password. Now this again is the FQDN standard of naming or logging in, and I prefer doing this. It is much easier than writing nita / administrator. So it is just a personal preference, guys. Just remember that it's a personal preference. I have no other reason behind doing this. So I'm going to restart this computer, and at this point, our entire infrastructure is set up. We have users, we have a domain controller, we have a workstation. Now we need to move on to the next step, and that is working with the PowerShell modules. So I'll let the workstation restart, not an issue right now. It's nothing pressing. Go back to the ADDS. Now, in case you find that you are gone for a few minutes and it takes a long time for you have to log in again and do all this, you don't want it to go to sleep, go to start, go to settings, and click on system, power and sleep, and set to never. That way your computer will not go to sleep and you can just keep switching between the two windows and it will work properly. Okay, so this is here. Now, first things first, start PowerShell. So the very first module that we are going to be installing is the Azure Active Directory module. Okay, so I'm going to type the command install -module -name and enter. Now remember, depending on the time that you're doing this, certain modules are getting deprecated by Microsoft. They are going to merge and mix and rename the modules as well, the PowerShell modules. So you might have certain issues here and there. So yes, the first one was yes, then the second is A, yes to all. And it would connect here. Now, so I'm going to clear this first and then type in the command connect -Azure AD. So this will take me here where again you can see that we are still using, even on Windows Server 2022, we are still using the old Internet Explorer problem. So this will happen once, don't worry. First time you do this, it will happen like that. But then when you run it the second time, it will let you log in. Now I'm going to log in with my Microsoft 365 account credentials. Now you need to get your account credentials as well and make sure that you are also doing your MFA and everything. So let me just quickly pull up my details here. And after I logged in here, you can see that I'm logged in. Now, this is one module that we're going to be installing. So you can do like get Azure, and you can see application, proxy, extension, credentials, logos, and you have more and more things here that you can work with. So you can also see Azure AD contact, let us say. Now I don't have any contacts, that's why there's not going to show up anything. So this is one command. Now the next command that we are going to be looking at is called MS All Service or MS Online Service. So let's take a look at how to install it now. Okay, so now the same exact style of commands, install -module -name, MS All, MS Online. Again, A, yes to all, and this will install. It's a 7.33 MB file. It's not a big file. It will not take too long to install, and it is very efficient. PowerShell, for what it's worth, is very quick. Clear, connect -MS All service. Now, remember, this is one of those places wherein, because we did the connect Azure AD, now we want to connect here. It will just be like, okay, there's a little bit of a clash. If this happens multiple times, you can just close your PowerShell instance right there. Open a new PowerShell instance and try the command again. And you can see I can log in here. It just happens very rarely. These kinds of issues happen very rarely, but they do happen. And it's a good thing that you know that they happen. Now, again, this could again be a different issue that we have nothing to do with. It could be in the background. So maybe it could be with Edge or something else. So we'll have to just do a little bit of creative workarounds, let's say. Now, one of the things, remember as mentioning earlier when I was installing the modules, it's that deprecation exists. I have MFA and one of those and conditional policies enabled that is preventing me from connecting to MSOL service, but that's not a problem. That's okay. Now let's move on to the next part, and that is installing the Azure Active Directory or Entra ID Connect. So I go to my browser here, open a new tab, a new private tab actually, and Entra ID Connect, download. And you can find the tool right from here. It is on the very first search. It's just called Microsoft Entra Connect. Download. It's a small file. It isn't very big. It's already done here. Now, if you're not able to download from there, another way of downloading it is you go to admin.microsoft.com or entra.microsoft.com if you so wish to. And you will see this issue. If you see this issue, it's a simple fix. Just either update the browser. It's a very simple idea. You can just click here, go on settings, find your About Microsoft Edge. It will check for the update. It will update. Not a big problem. It's like a 30-second, 40-second problem. Or alternatively, you can always install Google Chrome or something. So you can just download Chrome. Which, by the way, if you try doing it, you will see the notification that Edge is built on the same platform, which is very fun. Okay, so I'm downloading both. I'm doing both the steps just so that it is easier for me and for you to understand the kind of problems that you encounter with this. So Edge is done, Chrome is done. I think even Edge is being updated at the same time. It's pretty fast, so that should be good. So one of the few things is that Microsoft keeps changing things around. So you have to be a little bit familiar, or you should at least be looking at where to find things. If you don't find it in one place, you'll have to look for other places. And Microsoft is kind of notorious for that. Now, if I refresh this page again, you can see that it will still say unsupported browser. Not a problem, not a problem. I'll have to restart. I'm installing Chrome as well because it makes life easy. That's the only other purpose. Skip. So it's your choice. You can use either one. I prefer using Edge. It's a personal choice. It's nothing to do with anything else. But works either way. So I'm going to log in with So this is my trial tenant. So you will always see a few extra users in my case. So don't worry if you don't have extra users. I have the users because I've been using this account for testing, and there are other people who also test on this account. Now you can see that I get authentication, and this could be one of the reasons why the process was not working there, because Authenticator was blocking it. Authenticator is going to block it. And these are legacy methods, so not a problem. All right, so this is my Microsoft Entra. Under this, I'll have to scroll down and find Entra Connect. This is my Entra Connect. Now, one of the things that you'll have to look for over here is we don't want Cloud Sync, we want Connect Sync. Cloud Sync installs it on your cloud environment. Connect Sync installs it on your local environment. So you can see this part here and download provisioning agent, download sync connect agent. You can see on-premises solution right here. We need to connect the connect sync agent. Yes, accept terms and download. Now this is a big file, so we'll wait for it to complete downloading. Depending on your network speeds, it could take anywhere from 2 to 3 minutes. Now you can see that my Azure AD Connect tool has been installed. It's a MSI, it's a Microsoft installer. And you will notice something funny over here. If you notice, let me zoom in a little bit. The name of the tool is Azure AD Connect. But everywhere else it is Microsoft Entra Connect Sync. Now, remember this is one of just the few eccentric things that Microsoft does. It's nothing serious. So it's just one of those fun little things here. So I agree to the terms. Continue. I'm going to use Express settings here. So this is going to be my username. So this is going to be my global admin credentials here. Okay. Now this will ask me to sign in here. Now remember, if you have MFA, it could be a problem here. And yes, another thing that does happen is that sometimes you might get a TLS error, which is a very common thing. It is a quick fix. Microsoft has the PowerShell commandlet for it. You just need to run it on the PowerShell and it will fix it, not a problem. And you can see my synchronization is going to complete if I click on install. And it is installing all the required dependencies, everything is. Now this takes a few minutes. We'll give it a few minutes. Once it is done, or if it has any issues here, we'll obviously look at the issue and we'll fix it on the go. Now, one of the reasons why it looks like, oh, we are fixing a lot of issues is because of a lot of deprecation, number one, and a lot of things changing in Microsoft's internal infrastructure. We do not control all of it. So we have to find workarounds and work around it. We cannot just blindly move forward. So keep that in mind. And just remember that every single time you do it, you might be encountering something new or something changed. And now, as you can see, the configuration is complete. So if I go to my Entra here and refresh this page, and you can see right here, the MS Online deprecation will impact Entra Connect Sync service. So we need to upgrade, and this is one of the reasons why we were not able to connect. It's not a problem. It's never a problem. It's just one of those things wherein you can see that provisioning is done, enabling is done, all of this is good. So let me open a new tab and navigate to admin.microsoft.com. Now, since I'm already logged in on the same window, it doesn't make me do the entire MFA part again. And you can see the last sync status is right here. You can see password synchronization, recent synchronization, all good. Now, if I go on my users, remember I have more users than you would. I would just like to find my user, Jet Li and Megan Fox. And you can see Jet Li has the email address but is unlicensed. Same for the others. So I'm going to assign a license to Jet Li. I'm going to click on Jet Li, click on licenses and apps here, and assign the licenses that I have available. Now, you don't necessarily have the same licenses available that I do. I just have a little bit more licenses available than you do. That's it. Okay, this is good. This is good. Refresh. Perfect. Now comes the really easy part. So I will first navigate to my workstation. And you can see my workstation is currently, because I didn't do the sleep thing here, it is just going to be like this. So in case it happens to you, nothing to worry about. Just restart your guest. We anyway did not have any applications running on it or anything else running on it, so it makes it a little bit easier anyway for us. So we'll wait for this to complete, and once it is done, we can just log in. Now I'm here, I'm going to go to other user and log in as JLee. Now the idea here is that I use the password1350 and use the credentials to log in. Now the idea is I should be able to log into Microsoft 365 services as JetLee using the same credentials that I have on premises. That is password1350. So first things first, let's make sure that we can connect to the internet before we get a little bit ahead of ourselves here. Now if I go on Edge here, you can see that here it is still trying to connect. So start without your data. Remember, this is just me testing out and making sure that we are good to go. Because based on that, we would then need to use a different strategy or different technique. Now, you can see right here that I don't have internet. Okay, that's perfect. So simplest answer is go to settings, click on add, and add another network adapter, and that will resolve the issue for us. Now, no rocket science, no nothing, no not changing anything else. We are just going to be adding one more network adapter for internet access. That's it. Okay, don't worry about this. It's completely fine. Yep. Now let's try again. Yes, it's connected now. Let's try again. And we have access. Perfect. So let's do one thing. Let's quickly open a new tab. Now, remember the same issue that we had earlier could be another issue here. So if I go to the settings, I go on About Microsoft Edge, you can see that it is updating. Now, this is going to be one of those problems that you're going to encounter multiple times. So the easier solution definitely is to download your Chrome. Download Google Chrome, it's faster. It's much easier and downloads very quickly. Or you could always update and then based on that, restart Chrome and work around with it. Restart Edge and work around with it. Sorry, not Chrome, my bad. Okay, open file. Now remember, because I'm logged in as the user, I'll need to have the administrator password ready or know the administrator passwords to install it. Otherwise, I can't even install it, and that's one of those things. So that is one of the reasons why I said just update Edge. You don't have to worry about all the other things here. Now my Edge has been completely updated. It's not a problem anymore. So I'll go to office.microsoft.com. Click on sign in. Click on sign in. Now remember, the goal is just to be able to access Microsoft 365 services using on-premises credentials. So if it tells us to, if the policy is to like set up your MFA and everything, we can just safely consider that everything is working properly. Now, just give me a second. Yeah. So because I just want to be 100% sure, I'm going to copy the credentials from here. I've copied the credentials. Now I'll move to my workstation here. Next. I'm going to use the password 1350 that I set up on premises here. and sign in. Yes, I want to stay signed in. Now, even if it shows us that, oh, hey, you need to authenticate, you need to do all this, it is still perfect. And you can see right here that the user, Jetly, who is an on-premises user, can access email, can access Outlook. You can see this. Jetly has an Outlook. So if I click on new mail and I send the email to myself, sorry, my bad. Test email. This is a test email from on-prem synced user to cloud user. On MS 365 and click on send. Ideally, the email should have been sent, and you can see that the email is sent now. Okay, so I'll go back to ADDS01 here. Now this is my one location where I can get everything. I can get my Outlook open here as well. And when I click on Outlook here now, you will see that I have this test email from Jetly. Okay, now this is one proof of making sure that Jetly has access to all the services, including Exchange. Now another way of checking it is, you go to your Entra Admin Center, you click on your users, and right here, let me zoom out a little bit. Right here, you have this one column called on-premises sync enabled. Now, if I click on this, or you can see Jetly is obviously synced, Megan Fox is obviously synced. All the other users are just other users in our organization. Don't worry about them. But that means that we are able to synchronize properly and access services using the same set of credentials throughout. And that is the end of the scenario here. Thank you.
Thank you for watching NetSoft IT Academy. 905-812-2923. info@netsoftacademy.com. www.netsoftacademy.com.